News 5 continues its investigation into the ceaseless attempts by a group of residents to restrict access to public road in Belize City. And tonight, the area representative for Fort George, Henry Charles Usher, is speaking against the placement of barricades along the seafront stretch.
I support that the public should have access to that area. That is one of the very few areas that the public has access to the beachfront. So certainly I was very disappointed to hear that certain persons were signing petitions to subdivide it or to block it off. I'm not familiar with exactly what was being done, but I've always supported, just like Belizean Beach, I believe that it should be an area that the public is able to enjoy.
Back in 2022, residents of Home Park, including those living along the seafront road, went to City Hall with a request: block the road to vehicular traffic. The Belize City Council said no. Fast forward to August 2024. Those same seafront residents took a different approach. They applied to the Ministry of Lands to subdivide and buy that very street. Their stated reason is to protect the coastline from erosion and boost security. But the paperwork suggests they wanted to turn it into private property, which would mean shutting out public access altogether. Then came 2025. The residents returned to the City Council, this time armed with a letter from the Commissioner of Police supporting the closure, and another from the community insisting this wasn't about private gain. This time the council agreed and blocked the streets to vehicles. But here's where it gets murky. Mayor Bernard Wagner says he doesn't recall which councillor brought that renewed petition to the table for discussion.
Who brought it to caucus this time?
I can't recall. I think collectively it was a group decision.
In a separate matter, the minutes of an April 2021 caucus meeting show that the council passed a motion to have Ravi Nandwani consolidate his properties on George Price Highway with road access. There were no talks about public consultations being held for this consolidation to take place. And Nandwani is also listed as the administrator of one of the seafront properties along the hangar that is owned by GRD Holdings Limited. Our attention was drawn to how Mayor Wagner referred to the social gatherings that take place along the seaside by visitors as an invasion.
Citizen security is huge, and I put myself in their shoes, living in a community and having this sort of invasion occurring in your neck of the woods is not good.
Many of these property owners have lived here for quite some time. In fact, land tax payments date all the way back to 1990 and 1991, more than 2 decades ago. So, why move to restrict public access now? And what about implementing measures that do not prevent free movement on a city street?
Could there be another solution to the security concern outside of barricades, or putting the area into the hands of private landowners, perhaps increased patrols, more lights? Have these considerations?
All of those have been tried before, and it hasn't worked. All of those have been tried before. It hasn't worked.
What would lead to those barricades being placed back? What would be the conditions? Because my understanding is there are considerations for them to be placed back.
But it's a petition. The petition was approved by the council, you know. The petition of the residents were approved by the council. And so we had it wrong procedurally. So we got to correct the procedural wrong.
And it's likely that they could be placed.
More than likely.
And now the controversy deepens. Another family finds itself in the middle of this tug of war over control of the street. Here's why. Back in 2013, former Belize City Mayor Darrell Bradley honored the late city engineer Henry C. Fairweather by naming the street after him. But News 5 has learned that several of Fairweather's surviving relatives are outraged. They say any move to restrict public access or hand the street over to private owners would trample on his legacy. Mayor Bernard Wagner, however, says his priority is improving the quality of life for residents in that area.
We can't have people coming from all over the place, invading your space, turn it into a ruckus.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.